Hello there. I'm on my MacBook. This is usually how I record everything. And this is a MacBook Pro. It's from 2012. If you want to see what this MacBook has, just in case, these are the specs. 2.3 gigahertz Intel, 16 gigabytes of RAM, and that's it. Okay, so nothing super fancy. This is a 2012 MacBook. Let's plug in our interface. So as you can see here, right next to me is the Scarlett Focusrite. This is the first gen of the Scarlett 2i2. So it's not the Solo, but it's still a Focusrite. And all I do is plug it in, and you'll see it lights up over here. And it automatically will register the thing. And if I check right here on the top, you can see right here right away I get the Scarlett 2i2, but because I'm using this other thing called Boom Sound, it'll automatically go to that, but it's using the Scarlett right now. So this is right on the desktop of Mac OS. If we go into Logic, right, I'm going to show you the settings for that. And you'll probably want them to be pretty similar to this, or if not just like this. It's actually really easy. You go over here to Logic Pro, go down to Preferences, go to Audio, and these are the settings I use. I do all of my recording. The input is the Scarlett 2i2, and the output is also the Scarlett 2i2. And what I do is I use my in-ear monitors right here with the headphone jack, and so I can control the mix here. Let's say I wanted to use my speakers on the laptop, or if I had some external speakers connected, I could just go right here to built-in output, and that will work also. But the input-output device, I keep at that. And then 64 samples on the buffer size works really well for me. I have zero problems. And this is the latency that I get. Okay? And that's very straightforward. Let's look at another application really quick. I also happen to use bias amp. Looks like this. And the settings for this might be, if you have a standalone application, not a direct audio or digital audio workstation, but just some other stuff. You can go here, and all I did here was click the gear, and it gets you audio settings. And you see here, I have the input set to Scarlett 2i2 mono and input 1, considering it's just the first input. And I usually use this sample rate, 44.1, and about 256 samples. I could go lower if I want, but I found that sometimes if I'm running multiple applications, which I usually am, since I have Safari, Logic, etc. open, it gets really crackly and weird, so I use 256 samples. So if you have a standalone application similar to this, that might be better for you. But it really just depends on the memory and everything that you have. So you hear the Scarlett 2i2 is mono going in, but it's stereo coming out. Okay? And I can again use the Scarlett 2i2 as my output if I want to use this, or if I want to have the built-in speakers, I just put built-in output, just like that. Okay? So that's it. It's not too complicated on MacBook. On Windows, it's fairly similar. I wish I could show you because I do have Parallels, but I don't have anything installed for it yet. I don't have Reaper. I don't have anything. So it makes it very difficult to kind of show you that. But ideally, what you'll want to choose is the Focusrite Scarlett ASIO driver. It should look very similar to this. If you go over to audio, it should look very similar to just saying Scarlett, Focusrite Scarlett ASIO driver. That's the one you want to use because that's the one that's kind of built into the the Scarlett. But that's also the same one that you download anyway, so it shouldn't be a big deal. Try 44.1. Mess around with the buffer size, because maybe 64 for whatever reason is just not working for you. Try 128. I find that once you get past 256 when you're recording, the latency becomes an issue sometimes, depending on the computer and everything. So if I have it at 512, for example, I'm getting 13 milliseconds of latency. And though that's still not a lot, what it does mean is that it becomes noticeable. So I usually try to keep it as low as I can. There's times where I might record it and set 32, but the difference between 32 and 64 is very minimal. Okay, so those are the settings I use. That's always the way I have it. And everything's in time. Everything works great. I've always had people tell me that the first gen of the Scarlett 2i2 has issues with the volume. I don't remember if you mentioned that, but in case you did, damn, I wish there was a way that, wait, I think I can. No, I can't. Right here, there should be a little switch that goes between instrument and line. What you would want to use is go over to line and use that, because the pad is more severe. And so it gives you a wider range of control of instrument level kind of thing. So you would only really want to go to instrument only if you know for sure that you have a really low output guitar, one that doesn't have humbuckers probably. But for mostly everything else, you want it set to the far left, which says line on it. And I've told people about this that, you know, they're like, oh, well, I have it pretty much all the way down and it's still giving me a red halo. Try messing with this. Okay, so instead of it being on instrument, put it the other way, and that gives you a better range of everything, and it still sounds great. Okay, that is it. Nothing fancy here. I just have the USB. I don't use the monitors. Again, I just use the in-ear monitors, which are basically these. They're basically like headphones. And these are Audio-Technica in-ear monitors I use. Okay, sorry for the super long video, but I just want to be as thorough as possible. So that way you might be able to pinpoint what the problem is. If you do all this and you reinstall it on MacBook, definitely try it on MacBook first. Make sure it works on that, because it should. If it doesn't, for whatever reason, then you know you have a faulty Focusrite, and I would probably return it and probably exchange it for another one, because you probably just got a dud. You know, it happens, but unfortunately you're a person that has to go through that. You know, but hopefully everything works out. Let me know if this video helps you at all. Hope you have a good one.